Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL on a Wednesday night here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex. Welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. Thank you so much for coming along with us on this great American journey throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. And that is America. However, we are needing to ask questions tonight, and we will be asking those questions tonight of you. Things to think about. Things to think about is what we have me turn down my magic alert there. The beauty of modern technology. You can't live without. You can't live with it, and you can't live without it. But as I was saying, we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. Things that will affect you wherever you are, locally, regionally, wherever you are throughout the United States. And even though I am broadcasting from my home state of Louisiana, the things that we talk about tonight, regardless of where you are throughout the fruited plains, you're going to have to be concerned, especially if you are of a conservative slant. Even if you are a liberal in this country, you have huge concerns. You heard me talk about last night how a Sanders supporter, Bernie Sanders supporter, oh yeah, reality winner, reality winner, reality Lee winner, may have to face the reality of 10 years for espionage. And it does appear that we're going to have to root out, single out, and flesh out every one of her ilk. 25 years old, she'll be out at 35, write a book about it, get rich, and that will be sad. There might need to be a caveat in the sentencing that she cannot profit from her espionage, as I said on last evening. However, if you are a Republican, even if you are a Democrat, if you're a far, far, far left Democrat, this will not affect you because Democrats who are right there in the middle, moderates, Democrats who are right there in the middle, I still believe there's a bit of patriotism in them. But you Republicans, you need to hear me and hear me well. There was a single issue that basically united our party. Do you know what that issue was? Do you know what gave the Senate, especially its majority, and what kept the House in Republican control? It was a single issue that we all rallied around and have been rallying around, and that was the repeal and replacement of Obamacare. Are you hearing me? And folks, I got to tell you something. As a grassroots organizer, motivator, speaker, throughout this country. In fact, I'll be headed for Nashville this weekend. Be headed for Nashville for a training session with some activists in the Tennessee area. Well, outside of Nashville this weekend. I got to tell you, and you need to hear this. Wherever you are throughout the fruited plains, you need to hear this. The people who put you in office, they ain't happy. Now, one of the reasons why they ain't happy is, first of all, maybe this doesn't have anything to do with you, but maybe it does. And that is the full frontal attack that you are allowing to go on with this president. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. It is House Republicans. It is Senate Republicans who are not doing, you don't have a spine. You don't have the backbone. You don't have the courage of your convictions. Not my words, even though they are. But these are the words of people who put you in office throughout the fruited plains. I'm hearing it from California to West Virginia. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of conservatives in California. It's just that most of the vote is in areas like Los Angeles and San Diego. There's plenty of conservatives in California. Coming up a little bit later on in the show is Naja Enzi, Captain Black as I call him. And we got to talk about crime. Going to talk about crime. He knows because he's out there on the street. But we're going to be dealing with this thing with you Republicans. We're going to be dealing with this. Now, James Comey's coming up tomorrow. James Comey's going to be doing his thing. I tell you the truth, I think it's going to be, there's a lot of ado. There's much ado about nothing. People are saying it's going to be one of those popcorn popping moments. I even said that a couple of days ago. But the more I look at what does he really have to say, the more I realize he didn't have anything to say. If he says anything other than what he's already said is self-incriminating, he didn't have anything to say. I think I'm going to be borne out right tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to talk more to you, Republicans, and you better remember these two numbers, 2020. CL will be back in just a minute. Yeah, 2020 was once a great news show. Loved it. I believe that was Barbara Walters, back then in the days when Barbara Walters was. Barbara's still around. Barbara's got to be 90 years old. But 2020 was a fantastic news show. One of the grandfathers, the father of modern news shows. She and people like Geraldo and, oh man, Tom Snyder, all of those shows were just fantastic. Ted Koppel, they were great shows. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that 2020, although You are Republicans, and listen, I am a registered Republican. I have been for nearly 20 years, maybe longer now. But anyway, I am a registered Republican. I am not saying this trying to give my own party the blues. I'm saying this as a wake-up call because you know that you have a penchant. You have a special talent for snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory and placing defeat at the doorsteps of your constituents. You're almost like a cat that goes out at night hunting birds and laying them at the doorstep of those who feed you. But 2020 is the number you need to remember, because if we are to hold on to the House, well, actually, 2018, people are so ticked at you right now for saying that you're not going to be able to get this done when you got a majority, and when you can get 50 votes. You can get 50 votes in the Senate. You can get it. Mitch McConnell is saying you can't get it. Mitch McConnell is saying you can't get it, and the people are wondering, what was it all about? What was it all for then? Why are we here? Why are we still even talking to you if you can't get it? And what you have done, what you are doing, is that you have put the people across in the other house, the Republicans and the conservatives in the other house, who signed on, put their reputations and all of that on the line, had the courage to do what evidently you don't have to do over in the Senate side. They signed on, and now you put them in jeopardy. Because you do know that when the sweeping starts, oh yeah, some of them are going to get swept too, especially those who drug their feet. And then what do we have? Then what are we going to have? We're going to have all-out chaos. It's going to be a melee. It's going to be melee. I'm telling you, it's going to be a melee. It's going to be just total bloodbath in the party. And let me tell you what you're opening the door for. You are opening the door for a hotshot Democrat. And believe me, they're grooming them. They're going to be popping up out of the earth. You are grooming, you're setting the stage for a hotshot Democrat in whatever county election, whatever house, state house election, whatever house, national house election or national Senate election to come along, and they are going to be coming out in legions if you fail to do what you said and what you were sent there to do. Because your base, those who elected you, they won't come out for you. They're tired of the politicking. We gave you the wrecking ball. We gave you the agent of change. And the way it appears is that, and he is experiencing victory after victory after victory. He really is. Not legislatively, because you're allowing things to happen to him that should not happen to him. You're allowing things to happen to him that you let Obama. I'm talking about you, Mitch McConnell. I'm talking about even, yes, you, Paul Ryan. You're letting things happen to this president that you let slide with the other president, talking to Republicans. And the people who put you in office, they ain't happy. Better get it right. You better start thinking about what it cost. Or the lifelong, oh yeah, McConnell and Ryan, they'll go away into the sunset, guess what, with a pocket full of your money for the rest of their lives. But where would that leave the nation? It's going to leave the nation in just the place it was in right before we elected Trump. We gave you the wrecking ball. We gave you the agent of change, but you don't have the courage to let the wrecking ball swing, nor do you have the courage to turn the pump on to drain this swamp completely. You don't have the courage, evidently. You've been silent lately. Have you noticed? Have any of you noticed? Oh, yeah, they've been silent lately. Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, they've been silent. And my fear is that they may leave this president who has the tools of majority, both houses, twisting in the wind. You're going to know something if that happens. I'll be back. CL, Wednesday night from the jeweled cities of the Arclatech flagship station, Town Square Media, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. And we're, of course, streaming live throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. Download the free CL Bryant Show onto your Android or iPhone device. Go to TheCLBryantShow.com, TheCLBryantShow.com. Follow us on Facebook, The CL Bryant Show, and follow me personally at Rev, at REV, Rev CL Bryant. Now, when I left you, I said that if this president is left twisting in the wind, and yeah, you have the leaks, you have James Comey, you have all of that coming up, you have the fiascos that's going on in Washington, D.C. as we speak. If this president is left twisting in the wind with a majority House, with a majority Senate, things that I have been saying since before he was president. Remember what I told you about Hillary getting elected? If Hillary got elected, way it would be. And I reflect back to something that happened with us at Freedom Works. I was up there for a meeting we were doing some planning, some long-range planning. And this was before Trump got the win, as far as president's concerned. It's before he got the win. In fact, he had just gotten the nomination. Nobody really gave him a chance to beat Hillary early on. Not even us, not even me. Full disclosure. It started to look good about a month out. And then a couple of weeks out, it looked really good. But we had made plans, long-term plans, with the idea that Hillary would be president. The reason I mention that is this. I believe that the House and the Senate, even with their majorities, had also made plans that Hillary would be president. I believe that. And I think that, now we're going to see. What I'm saying is just my opinion. But we're going to see if my opinion is going to be borne out. And not too many days hence. Yeah, as the scripture would say, not too many days hence. We're going to find out if they are holding fast to the plans they wanted to institute if she had been president, because you're sure acting as though she is. You're not acting like you have a Republican president who has the courage of his convictions. You're not acting like that. You're not acting as though you have the authority, the carte blanche from the people who put you in office. You're not behaving as though you have the bully pulpit. You're behaving as though you are frightened little school people. I'm going to say it. You're behaving like you're frightened little schoolgirls. You see, even political correctness is causing me to hesitate. But no more, because see, that's exactly what's happening to you. You're hesitating because of the political correctness. You're afraid of being maligned. But no, you're behaving like frightened little schoolgirls. And yes, you know what I'm talking about. You're running around like screaming and at things that you should not be screaming about. Hey, man up. Woman up. Man up, woman up. It's time. This is the time when kings should be going to war, and you're sitting idle. Yeah. Those of us who are understanding that we can make this nation great again need to see those we have elected to go to war, go to war. This is the time when kings and warriors should be going to war. We have anointed a leader in this fight. He is doing all he can to lead, and you are not giving him support at his flank. 2020 is coming, and you better take into account what that means. Coming up in the show here at the top of the hour, and I'm going to be bringing in another voice of the people, Ken Clark, a little bit later on the show, to support what I'm telling you about. You're going to have to answer to the people. But we need to talk about crime. New Orleans is beginning to blow up as far as the crime rate is concerned, And folks, I am pretty certain that this very well is going to be a pattern in this country, at least for the short term, at least until we can restore law and order. And if you are planning on raising your children outside of a steel cage, bulletproof cage, you better restore law and order. Najee Enzi, Captain Black, will be with me when we return. CL back with you on this Wednesday evening, streaming nationwide throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. Yes, we are still the greatest nation on the face of the earth, but there are things going on that are undermining that, and one of them is crime. There has to be a restoration of law and order, and on the line with me now is someone who I have an incredible amount of respect for, not only for his courage, but because of his tenacity and his veracity at telling it like it is. My friend, Najee Enzi. Captain Black, welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. How are you, brother?
Greetings, fellow hostages and hostagettes. I'm fine.
And we're certainly just about at that point, Nadra. We're being held hostage, man. There's no question about it. And you know what, Nadra? Before we jump off into our conversation, I really feel sorry for the elderly. I mean, the elderly who are trapped. How about New Orleans? You down there in New Orleans, are they seemingly trapped in their own neighborhood sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hiding behind burglar bars, hoping if they go out to shop that they're not robbed, praying they're not caught in the crossfire, and guess what? Nobody in the local powers that be dare call it the T word, terrorism.
Is it really? Is it really is it that feel down there in New Orleans? Is it really feeling like a terroristic type of threat that's happening to to the citizens
Absolutely.
in the inner city? Wow.
You've had an armored car guard murdered last week. You had a kid who graduated from St. Augustine here, gunned down, armed student, trying to save money, ironically, to leave New Orleans.
Wow.
And the armored car guard who was murdered had conquered a brain tumor and had an application in with the New Orleans Police Department when he was murdered.
Wow.
So the urban apocalypse does not want you to escape, does not want you to progress. It just wants to chew you up and spit you out.
Wow. Wow, Nadra, 13 people I'm seeing here over the weekend, last Saturday, were shot dead there. Were shot in New Orleans. Were there's mostly fatalities? What happened with that?
No, shot is shot. Fortunately, most of the people survived. Some of them are in serious condition. And meanwhile, we have a mayor who says that, and I quote, "We need to change how we are. Not thugs need to change, not chocolate Klansmen need to change, not armed assailants need to change, but we need to change." This guy is so clueless that it really would be funny if it weren't so tragic.
So, you had Landrew saying that who is the we he's what is he talking about? I don't get it.
He fancies himself as America's leading expert on urban male affairs. So I guess in his twisted mind, the psychotic scum who gunned these people down on Saturday somehow represent all black men, and therefore it's all of our responsibility. It's more of this liberal narrative where you don't blame individuality for the criminal behavior. You blame history, you blame astronomy, you blame astrology, you blame meteorology, you blame anything but the individual and the evil choices he's made.
Wow. Wow. You know, Mitch Landrieu, I think, has a Democrat political future, but the way you're talking, he may not have a political future as in New Orleans. He may have to look nationally in order to do that. You know, Nadra, you have said something that is very interesting. Urban male affairs. Is there something different, or should there be something, a different way that we look at urban male affairs than any other affairs of males in this country? Because most of the crime is committed in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, you correct me if I am, by urban males. Does that translate to black males? What does that translate to?
As young as 10 years old.
Wow.
Yes. And should they be treated differently? No. Now, see, this is the primary problem. When you lower the bar for black men and boys to subterranean levels, you then enable the most vicious and stupid behavior in many cases. But you would not want people from other ethnic groups to even think that they could act like this. So there needs to be one uniform standard for all of us. We're American citizens.
Wow.
This is, last time I looked, a republic. That means there are laws and standards to which the rich and the poor are supposed to be held equally.
Wow.
Liable.
Wow. You know, Nadra, talking to you is always enlightening because you have this type of insight. And then you have this dialect. You have this type of way, this style of communicating that is absolutely brilliant in my estimation. And when we look at then, I want you to apply something here for me. I've been talking about the betrayal and I met you several years ago when I was doing the film Runaway Slave, when I was premiering it. But the betrayal, there's a certain betrayal. You know, I travel a lot throughout the nation. There's a certain betrayal that grassroots people are beginning to feel from Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. And I have a feeling that they're going to make these people pay if they don't get on the good foot, as it said, here real soon. Are you sensing that same type of betrayal?
Again, it even transcends party, pigment, and proximity. What you said is absolutely true. Grassroots people, the salt of the earth, who want safety, who want accountability, who want politicians who, dramatic pause, actually do what they campaigned on doing are incredibly dissatisfied, and I think that this dissatisfaction will play itself out at the polls. Again, people are sick of double standards, and speaking of double standards, if we have time, I would love to address Bill Maher's latest statement.
Yeah, we got time. Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Have 1 minute.
We're gonna talk about that. In fact, we're gonna talk about that when we come up next in the next block. Bill Maher somehow felt okay doing that. Let's talk with Nadra Enzi here about the white liberal mentality on race, the white liberal mentality when it comes to race. I think Bill Maher is the quintessential example of what that represents. I want to thank all of our sponsors for being here with us today. I'm going to be back with Captain Black, Nadra, when I return. Last night, I had a clip for you, Bill Maher, there on his show. And he was asked about joining a United States Senator in the field for to help, in the grassroots movement, yada, yada. Bill Maher, of course, he is a comedian. Yeah, I understand that. He felt as though he could make something out of joining the senator in the field. And he said that he was a House N-word. Nadra, on with Captain Black, Nadra Enzi in New Orleans, Louisiana. Before we get into that conversation, Nadra, tell folks how to get a hold of you and how to get into your thoughts.
Certainly, at NADRAENZI, that's Nadra Enzi. On Twitter, same with Facebook. You can find my latest commentary there, and it's a feast for the mind.
All right, and he'll be repeating that a little bit later on in the show for you as well. Now, Nadra, seems to me that Bill Maher has not even gotten a slap on the wrist for this. Not even. And what is it, from your vantage point, that white liberals, what's the advantage that white liberals have over white conservatives, in your estimation?
They are granted universal exemption to say or do things that are career-ending for anybody else. And they do so because, and I have to be very frank, members of the black community who happen to be liberal allow them to do so. You haven't heard Al Sharpton or anybody else on the left, Michael Eric Dyson, et cetera, et cetera. I think Michael Eric Dyson, in fact, said that the host in question was essentially allowed to say so. So when you have this type of slave, master-slave relationship, I'm just going to be honest with you.
Right,
where
right.
So long as the person is a liberal,
right,
he or she can say the most demeaning things, and you sort of play, you meaning the black liberal, you sort of play the exotic pet who sits in his lap and doesn't say anything about it. That's to me, that's not progress.
That is not. It is not, Nadra. In fact, this is the message that you and I have taken many stripes, have been beaten with many stripes over here in these last 7-8 years. And because we have tried to say, no, the ones who black folks ought to be mad at are those who give a pass to the liberal agenda that is causing really what we started out initially in this show talking about, and that is the crime rate, because you used a word, and that is ignoring the individual responsibility that goes along with American citizenship. Somehow it seems to me, Nadra, that young black people and progressive liberals don't necessarily see black folks as individuals, do they? They see them as groups.
They don't even, let's be very frank, and I have liberal friends, and I'm not talking about people who are decent people who just happen to be left of center. But let's be very clear. There is a broad consensus that's never admitted that they don't think black people are as moral nor as intelligent as they are. Because if they did, we would not continuously promote the most toxic, the most debilitating, the most disempowering perceptions of black people.
Wow.
I mean, let's be honest. They are preparing our children to be reentry program candidates.
Wow.
I can't put it any more plainly.
Well, and hey, man, that is about as plain as you can get it, because I was, listen, it was raining one day, one evening. It was raining one evening. My wife and I had planned to go out somewhere, but it was flash flooding and all of this. And we decided to sit on the couch, something we don't do a whole lot, but we did this night. And Nadra, I was looking through, we were looking through the television thing there, the guide or what have you. And I saw Cleopatra Jones. I saw the movie, Cleopatra Jones. And I said to my wife, I said, you know what? We saw this together back in the 70s. Let's look at it and see how funny it is today. Nadra, I was, to my shock and surprised, the black people today are trying to live out the movie Cleopatra Jones. They are playing the same.
Exploitation has become mainstream.
Yeah, it has become mainstream. And I noticed, though, to your point, black folks then, it was evident the underlying theme was they're not as smart as you. The underlying theme is this what they have to be. And this is also the stereotype that was being promoted as to how black folks are back in the 70s, Nadra. It was amazing. Is that really where all this started, back in the blaxploitation days?
I would even go a little further. Let's be clear. Because usually when liberals talk about the plantation, it's as the great excuser for dysfunction. But let's look at the other side of it. Because the good old-fashioned liberal slave master who said, hey, I'm doing you guys a favor. You can't govern yourselves. You need me. You can't manage your affairs. You need me. What's any different from that attitude in the old days and the modern attitude of the program director or the grant writer who specializes in black problems but isn't black himself?
Yeah.
It's the same paternalism.
Yeah.
It's the same exploitation. Only thing that's changed is the compensation package.
Wow. Oh, wow, man, I just love it. Then let us then move further into this. What is then the end game of groups like Black Lives Matter, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, Occupy Wall Street, that incorporates the young white liberals into this game? Where are they marching toward? What is the end game? What are they wanting to accomplish?
The end game is nothing less, and it sounds apocalyptic, but it's also true. The end game is very simple. They want to bring this country down to its knees. They want to have absolute diplomatic immunity. When it comes to crime, they want to disempower the police. They want to delete self-defense from the body politic. And they want people who have traditional values, regardless of what you look like or where you live or even how you vote. They want you to be their slave. And they've made it very clear. Whenever you can't have campaign rallies or senators from a party they don't like or congressmen, pardon me, from a party they don't like, cannot even have town hall meetings. These people are saying that you don't have a right to disagree with me and I will beat you into submission. That is the self-esteem boost that they've gotten for the last 8 years and longer. And that's their end game. And the young white liberal, while his black peer, following the same course of action, will end up being a convicted felon and end up being shuttled from one reentry program to another.
Hold that thought, Nadra. Hold that thought right there. I hear the music. We're on with Nadra Enzi, Captain Black, when I return. Don't go anywhere. CL. I can't get enough right here, and I hope that you're truly enjoying this. I'm seeing that you are. Listen, Nadra Enzi is my guest. Nadra, give us your contact information, your Twitter handle. How do we get in touch with you?
Sure, at NADRAENZI. Nadra Enzi on Twitter, Nadra Enzi on Facebook. That's where you can find all my stuff that I post, and we can try to create safety together. And like I was saying in the last segment, the end game is that the black liberal will find himself a convicted felon, a reentry program participant, benefiting the very white liberals he's marching with, but who now are administering over him. That's the end game. We need to be very clear. And for traditional Americans who don't happen to be black, you will be a second-class citizen in your own country. You will not be allowed to disagree with them publicly. You will not be allowed to gather in opposition to them. You won't even be able to peacefully petition your elected officials at congressional town hall meetings because they will disrupt them. You will be voiceless. You will be powerless. That's their end game. And they have been, up until the Trump election, very successful for the past 2 presidential terms in pursuing that.
Yeah, and that's why they're so vehemently opposing Trump, and it seems as though they have many Republican assistants trying to aid and abet them in this. Back to Bill Maher then, because now his actions and his pass that he got for the actions that were reprehensible for a person in his position. It seems as though the senator sitting there, Jay and I was talking about this, is receiving a lot more flack for not saying anything than Bill Maher got for actually saying it. And so this is the situation. You're saying to us, Captain, you're saying that these groups like Black Lives Matter, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, and even the little progressive white groups like Occupy Wall Street and what have you, they are actually pawns and tools of liberal elitists who feel immune to any type of sling or arrow that can come from the quiver of those rejecting or his types of liberal elitism. Are there tools in his quiver? Is that right?
Absolutely. Look, when you banish dissent, when you outlaw self-defense, when you reduce policemen to essentially being spectators in blue uniform, Who benefits from that? It's not the traditional American who may be left or right. It's not the stakeholder who may be liberal or conservative but still believes in certain things. It is the most extreme faction in society. This is what they want. They want us on our knees, and they're working very diligently to try to make that happen. And to be honest with you, they didn't have a plan B after the Trump victory.
No.
Which is why they're scrambling around looking even crazier than normal.
No.
Because many of them woke up that next morning and would not have imagined that Hillary Clinton was going to lose.
You're absolutely right.
Forward to 4 more years.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Nadra, I was saying
yeah.
to our audience, right before you came on, I was saying to our audience that even our group, and you were with me and President Brandon down in New Orleans just a couple of months ago, I was saying to them that our long-term projection, even at FreedomWorks, largest grassroots organization in the country, we both 6.2 million activists on the ground, but our long-term projection before the election was centered around a Clinton presidency. Of course, we have altered it now, but like you're saying, it was a scramble. It was a scramble to alter it because we were surprised that this president had won the campaign. I think maybe he's surprised. I don't know.
And because I am a so-called but real compassionate conservative, I spent a lot of time counseling my liberal peers, and I reminded them that, look, I wasn't pleased with who was in the White House the last 8 years. It's clear you're not pleased with this guy who's in now.
No.
But we both have common concerns about safety and opportunity. Let's not argue ideology. Let's create safety. Let's enhance opportunity, and let's improve things where we're at. And that approach worked. And FYI, it is a conservative approach because we're dealing with problems around us instead of waiting for the solutions to be rationed down from government, which we know Mr. Landry isn't interested in, or corporations, which sadly in this city means, i.e. Mitch Landry's donor buddies. We understand they have no interest in public safety. They have no concern about police morale. So that's where we, the public, have to mobilize, have to lawfully protect ourselves, and have to support the rank and file troops in blue out there who are under assault from above by their mayor and a federal consent decree and an unelected federal judge and a federal consent decree monitor who flies in from D.C. every blue moon and tells NOPD how they need to police the city.
Wow.
And as to what the end result of all this micromanagement has been, I humbly submit the following. 13 people shot in one day last Saturday. An armored car guard murdered who had an application in with the New Orleans Police Department. A young man who graduated from St. Aug High School here, one of the leading historically black parochial schools, trying to save money to leave the violence that claimed his life.
Wow. Wow. You know, Nadra, I could talk to you for another hour. I really could, but time won't allow this time. But I have you back on real soon. Give your website and contact one more time for us. And, folks, I'm telling you, connect with Captain Black. Connect with Nadra Enzi. He obviously, you can tell. I mean, he speaks for himself. He is very clear and articulate on the way he sees things. And maybe, I do believe, you just might benefit from his insight. Nadra, give it one more time.
At NADRAENZI on Twitter, same on Facebook. And folks, let's create safety together. It doesn't matter your pigment, it doesn't matter your party, but your life and your property are all important.
All the best to you, my friend. God bless and keep you. Talk to you soon.
Likewise.
Nadra Enzi. Yeah. Hey, folks, I'm CEO. We're going to be here with you. Coming up is Ken Clark. I'm trying to connect with Ken, but wow, when you look at the grand design, the grand scheme of it all, you can't help but wonder, just where will we be in 4 years? Back in a minute. Yes, you heard it right here on this show. And it is something that we are going to have to discuss more openly, honestly, and regularly if we are to actually deal with it. And that conversation, conservatives, Republicans, is going to have to come from the right. The left does not want to have the conversation that we need to have because it disempowers them. It takes away their power. If you point out that people like Bill Maher and other liberals have created an image of their exotic pet, that's Nadra Enzi's words, minorities, exotic pets for liberals, Bill Maher type liberals, elitist liberals. If you begin to point out and then make it clear, as I've been trying to do here for the last 2.5, nearly 3 years on this show, that progressive liberals view minorities, black folks in particular, over the last 60 years as an exotic pet that needs to be cared for. And that they don't think that they can't possibly be as intelligent, can't possibly ever be self-sufficient. Why? Because of historical things that happened to them. And you will hear black folks buy into that type thing. And then you try to create a different narrative. And whoever's creating that narrative is racist. That's how entrenched the idea is in the mindset of America. It's entrenched to a point, you heard the clip last night, where Bill Maher can actually say with immunity from the wrath of Al Sharpton, immunity from the wrath of so-called black leaders. Jesse Jackson is pretty much a non-entity anymore. There are no people jumping up and down screaming Black Lives Matter over what Maher had to say, right? No, there's nobody jumping up and down about that. Did you see anybody throwing bricks at anything? Did you see any fires started? Huh? Did you see anybody challenging his hate speech? I mean, you let Ann Coulter show up and wants to say what I just said. That is hate speech. You let me show up. If that had been me, and I had said I am the House N-word, I would have gotten flack from both sides of the aisle. And I'm black. I would have gotten flack from both sides of the aisle. From the Republican side for CL, you're pushing it too far. And from the other side is that Good just said it. What? Oh, yeah. But let Bill Maher say it. Let Bill Maher say it. Man, I tell you what, that's where we're headed. And so back to where we were headed before Nadra came on. See? Because there is evidently a design in all of this. And just maybe I ask about the end game, and I talk about this end game. I talk about design all the time, and I just like to have people like Nadra on sometimes to sort of give reinforcement to the points that I try to make. When I talk about law and order, there are those keepers of the gate to the voting block that is the minority community who say I'm talking code for go out and round up and imprison black folks. No, I'm talking about law and order. Whether they're white, black, Islamic, Mexican, whoever they are, Russian mafia, I don't care who they are. We must have law and order in this country, or the point that I was making about you existing from a steel cage, raising your children from a steel cage, will become a reality for the majority. Because when you're having 13 folks shot on one night in one city that's not Chicago, it means that the evil is spreading abroad. That's what's happening. The evil is spreading abroad. And it's already happening in Los Angeles, although last week California Ted was telling you that that is occupied L.A. So let's talk about the Latinos. Okay, I'm going to get flack for that. That's okay. You have more black people on the city streets who are homeless on Skid Row in Los Angeles. Let's talk about how they got there. How did they get there? What is the grand design? I'll tell you how they got there. They got there through liberal, progressive, liberal, politically correct design. And if they can't see, if you can't see, Nadra sent a message to traditional Americans, as he calls you. He's talking about white America. That's what he's talking about. That's what Nadra's talking about when he talks about traditional Americans. That's his way of saying it. But let me just talk about Americans as a whole. Whatever, if you're a person who gets up and goes to work every day in America, red, yellow, black, or white, the end game is to make you, the working class, a part of what they call the haves, what has always been called the haves. If you have a job and are paying taxes, I don't care what color you are. Let's forget about that right now. If you have a job and you are paying taxes, you get up and you go to work every day. The end game in this scenario that we're seeing play out in America right now, and I am telling you, it is being aided and abetted by Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. I don't know if the president sees this, but I'm telling you, it is. is being aided and abetted by Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. And don't forget John McCain. We'll talk more about it when I return. I'm CL.
Well, I was rolling down the road in some cold blue steel. I had a blues man.
CL, back with you on this Wednesday, midweek in America. Tomorrow we're looking toward the testimony of someone who has claimed to take meticulous notes regarding conversations that he had with the president. I believe that perhaps he had conversation with other presidents, including Barack Obama. And I'd like to see those notes. All in all, I don't think there's much going to come of this either way. I just don't see anything coming of it. I don't see it. If the president said or did anything that was untoward as far as James Comey was concerned, James Comey was obligated to have revealed it then to the ethics committee. I don't see how he's going to come up anywhere in any form or fashion now and say anything different than we already know. So even though they're building this Comey testimony up for Thursday, for tomorrow, I just don't see how it's going to be anything other than old hat. I know that the liberals would really love it if it was different. But it's not going to be any different. Oh, the Bill Maher's, the Whoopi Goldbergs, and people like that, the CNNs, the progressive liberal media all together, and certainly the activist judges would like for this to be something big. But this takes me back to my original point, the point that I opened this show with. Here it is. You have a president that is willing to face the heat. And let me tell you why I think that is so important for you to understand. Because Louisianians, let me speak to you for a minute. And you folks around the country, you will remember when this happened down in Louisiana, down in the Gulf of Louisiana, the BP oil spill. The president of BP, or the chairman of BP, said that this was something that had taken him away from his life. And he was looking forward to when he could get back to his life. Remember that he took a lot of flack over saying that, that he wished he could get back to his life because there were so many people whose lives had been disrupted and that we didn't know if they'd get back to their lives, right? Well, let me say this on behalf of the President of the United States. He has said on many occasions that he had a good life. A life that certainly was not filled with this kind of stuff. A life that he had built, taken the time to build himself. Yeah, taking the time to build himself. And he ran for president. And quite frankly, you know what? I know that he believed, and Melania said she believed. The kids said they believed that he would become president of the United States. I know that DJT, I know that Donald Trump believed that he'd be president of the United States, but nobody else around him did. Paul Ryan didn't believe it. Mitch McConnell did not believe it. And they were all taken by surprise when the late night, on election night, he became president of the United States. Hillary Clinton is still shell-shocked. She's walking around in a daze. She didn't know what to do with herself. She was planning on being the president, as was anybody of any importance. Nobody believed it. My point is that he actually traded in a good life to be a patriot. That's what I truly think about this man. I believe he's a patriot. I believe that he was tired of seeing America being taken advantage of. Obviously, you can see that we were being taken advantage of. Obviously, you can see just in that NATO meeting that it was exposed that, of course, we already knew that they weren't pulling their fair share. We knew that. as far as Article 5 is concerned. We knew that if anything goes down in this world, we are the ones who are going to have to bail the world out. It reminds me of the movie Armageddon. Our asteroid headed for the world to destroy it. America will be the people who field a team to go up and destroy that asteroid. That's who we are. That's what we do. But this president was tired of seeing us being taken not only advantage of, but being taken for granted. As though we have so much money and we're so wealthy in this country that we should, and that's the progressive liberal stance on all this, is that we should feed everybody else. You, the taxpayer, the American taxpayer, somehow they feel entitled to your money. You ought to pay their way. Why? Because you've been doing it for so long. Now they feel as though you need to continue doing that. I'm CL. Back with Nancy Schultz in just a minute.
Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night.
CL back with you on this Wednesday evening here in the jeweled cities of the Architects Report in Bossier, streaming nationwide throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. You folks in North Carolina, East Texas, and Southern Arkansas, we certainly love having you along for this great American journey. On with me is one of the shakers and movers in the grassroots movement, has been for many times. She's been inside the Beltway for many years. It is my friend Nancy Schultz. Nancy, thank you so much for coming on. Nancy, I had to get Nancy, folks, full disclosure, I had to get Nancy on in short notice, and because of
roots are growing.
And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about, Nancy. There were certain reasons why we elected certain people to office, national office, and of course state office as well. Nancy, you've just come from a grassroots convention there in North Carolina. Would you please give us the temperature, give us an idea of what the tone is from those? Are we happy? Are grassroots folks happy? What's happening? What's going on?
Well, we're all, there's an under the radar, the angst the energy concern over where we're going as a country is still alive and kicking, and we are anxiously and determinedly focused on advancing the cause of freedom of the greatest country ever known to man.
Absolutely.
You know, the attempt by the left, by the secular left, to transform this country, it has been going on since the Second World War. We are finally catching up. The grassroots are finally awake in America. It took 2 terms of Barack Obama to expose what the left has been up to and has attempted to achieve. We heard it 5 days before he was first elected. It's about the fundamental transformation of America. Now, we are in a war, CL.
Yeah.
This is a different kind of a war. This isn't a shooting war, but we are nonetheless in a war. And as I was going around speaking around the country before the election, I said, once November 8th has come and gone, the work, the fight has only just begun.
Yeah. Nancy, give us your website and how people can get a hold of you and your thoughts.
Well, frankly, I'm just working on a website now. Basically, everything I do is word of mouth.
Okay.
I'm speaking constantly around the country. I have an address, email address.
Yeah, give us that.
Okay, it's speaker 1776 at Verizon.net.
Speaker 1776 at Verizon.net. Folks, go there, contact her. I am telling you that you bring Nancy in to speak to you. I am assuring you that you will walk away enlightened. Yes, you will. Now, Nancy, are we prepared? Were we prepared for this presidency? It seems as though this presidency is taking Republicans, conservatives by surprise. If so, why so? Why weren't we prepared to govern? It seems as though we're dropping the ball. How are you seeing it?
Well, I'm not seeing it that way. As you know, my husband spent 18 years in Congress. And there is a lot churning under the leftist press wants us disengaged. They want us discouraged. Okay, so they're not going to report what's going on of a positive nature on our side of the aisle. They're just not going to do it. Because none of what's going on the positive side of the aisle is positive in their mind.
Right. You're absolutely right.
But it's, when 80% of the American, first of all, as you well know, CL, with your program, with All Talk Radio, with Fox News, we still only capture about 20% of the market.
If that much.
80% of what people are hearing out there is coming from the left.
That's right.
So we absolutely, it is never, I don't think it's ever been more important for us to stay sustainably, continuously engaged in what's going on in Washington right now. It's never been more important.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
We have been out financed, we have been out strategized, we have been out foxed, we've been out manipulated. But you know what? CL, so were our founders.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it.
And it is time now for us as Americans, as we the people, to engage more than ever. Because I'll tell you one thing. The members of Congress, if you don't see if you can't if you don't see what's going on, if you don't know what's going on, there's one way you can take care of that, and that is to engage with your local, your congressman, your senator. If you want to make, I'll tell you something. There is nothing that has a greater impact. Nothing that has a greater impact on the direction, the focus, the activities of a congressperson.
Nancy Schultz, hold on for me. Just hold that thought right there, Nancy. I'm going to bring you back after the break, and I want your brief take on, can we get Obamacare done? Will this Republican Senate get that done for us? When we return, Nancy Schultz. I'm CL.
Fine.
CL back on the home stretch of this Wednesday show with a great patriot, great speaker, my friend Nancy Schultz. Nancy, give your email address again to the audience.
Speaker 1776
Speaker
at Verizon.net.
1776 at Verizon.net. You will be in contact with Nancy Schultz. Nancy, I asked you a question when we left, and this is perhaps part of the angst and a part of the, the concern that we as Republicans, conservatives have, and that is what was one of the unifying factors of this past election, and that was getting the Obama health care plan repealed and replaced. Do we get that done? How are you seeing it?
It completely, in my opinion, depends on the American people, on the grassroots engagement of the American people. We absolutely must weigh in on this. Well, first of all, CL, as you and I have discussed, there is nothing in the Constitution of this country that gives responsibility for the health care of the American people to the federal government. It doesn't exist.
Right. You're
so
absolutely right.
Start there. I mean,
absolutely
fundamentally, we're off base to start with. But what we must insist upon is patient-centered, free market health care in America. And what that means is unraveling federal involvement in our health care decisions, in the lives of. Let me just get one other shot in here that really needs to get known around the country, and that is, I'm on the board, as you well know, of an organization called Physicians for Reform.
Right. Our good friend Dr.
Physicians
Claire
around the
Gray.
country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. They have been working 25 years to develop a patient-centered, free market alternative to health care in America to preserve the finest health care system in the country. And the research is showing, this is the big lie of Obamacare. The research has proven that people on Medicaid, and there are 72 million of them in America, people on Medicaid have worse health care outcomes than people that have no health insurance at all.
Absolutely right. Dr. Gray was on the show a week or so ago, and I'm glad that you reinforced that, Nancy. In fact, your probability of dying if you have Medicaid is actually greater Medicaid, Medicaid, folks, Medicaid.
Right.
If
Right.
you're on Medicaid, your prospects of dying are, I think, 25% greater than those who have no health insurance whatsoever.
Well, if you want to look at the future of healthcare in America, just look at the VA. Just look at the VA. Now, that is single-payer healthcare for you.
Yeah.
And I just read a statistic in the Wall Street Journal this past week that in the last from 2014 to 2015, there are documented cases of over 100 veterans dying in one state waiting for health care.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Nancy, I'm glad that you were able to come on with me and share this brief time with me. But just to have you share just the little golden nuggets that you have shared with us is very important, just to hear from you. Again, I want to have you back on, and in fact, I'll have my executive producer get in touch with you and schedule a longer time, because I want to talk about what you do on the road and where we're going. I love the positive slant that you place on where we can go as a grassroots people, if we will. Sometimes it's incumbent upon guys like me to sort of beat up on those who we feel are not doing their job. But it's always refreshing to have you come back and the cool wind of revival blow over us with your words. I mean, I really thank you for that. Definitely need it. We definitely need it. Nancy Schultz, God bless and keep you.
Thank you.
I'm CL. That was
all you do.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm CL, and that was Nancy Schultz. And folks, speaker 1776 at Verizon.com. Go there, and I'm telling you, she'd be an incredible addition to any venue, to any event that you are having. Have her out. Been inside the Beltway for absolute years, ages, and she knows what's going on. And like I said, it's always good to have, you know how I beat up on it, because, folks, yeah, I know that the strength and the power and all of that lies within you, the American people. But it always amazes me how we buy in, how Americans buy in to such lunacy, and it becomes real. And it always amazes me as to how those who we do put in power, like your Paul Ryans and like your Mitch McConnells and even John McCain, how they seem to not be with us. That bothers me. But like Nancy was saying, you have a lot of sway in which way this is going to go. You have the sway. And so take it back. Let's take back the country. We can do it. I'll be back to close it out. I'm CL.
If you had not have fallen, then I would not have found you. Angel flying too close to the ground. ground. And I patched up
Well,
a broken wing.
we've come down to the close of it for this Wednesday here in the Jewel Cities. And hey, tomorrow we'll be standing once again on the threshold of the weekend show. Yeah, Thursday. We'll be standing at the threshold of the weekend. And I'm headed up to Nashville over the end, this weekend. Got a training seminar up there. I'll be speaking to a group of activists with the FreedomWorks deal. And by the way, folks, go to freedomworks.org, freedomworks.org. We are the largest grassroots organization in the nation, boasting 6.2 million activists on the ground throughout the United States, both continuous and Alaska and Hawaii. We even have activists in Israel, other places, Poland, other places around the world. And in fact, a couple of years ago, I was on a venue with former Polish President Lech Walesa, who is basically the Martin Luther King of Poland. And become a part of that. freedomworks.org, check it out and become a part. We have a lot of work to do here in this country. But above all, our most important duty in this country is one that was given to us by the founder, the writer, who penned the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson. And he said that our most important duty that we have as American citizens, the most important work that we will have as American citizens, is making sure that we understand the price of our liberty. And what is that? He said the price of your liberty is eternal vigilance. There's a lot for us to watch out for. There's a lot for us to be vigilant about. That's the price of our liberty. If we want to keep it, the price that is necessary to pay is eternal vigilance. Always be on guard, watching for those who would steal it away from you. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day, and I want to thank Him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our minds. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
We'll stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn.